Hello, welcome back to Floating Through Film. For episode 95, we are continuing our series that I picked for John Cassavetes. Last week we reviewed his first two films, or his first film and then his fourth film. But we skipped two in there, but basically his first two actual fully in control pictures, basically. And this week we are continuing. We're going to his 70s work, which is definitely his most prolific period. And where he made the most films and where he really people most of the conversation around him are really about these films, I would say. Though there's of course people talk about his other films, but these specifically are the most talked about, I feel like I see. And the two films we're talking about today are Husbands and Minnie and Moskowitz. So before we get into those, let me introduce my co-host Danny.
Hello.
And Blake.
What's up?
And I guess we can go ahead and just get into Husbands. Husbands, I would say this is probably, it's maybe his most inaccessible film, maybe. Which, it's funny, because from the outside looking in, it kind of looks like it would be one of his more accessible, kind of lighthearted maybe films. But when you get into it, it's he's stretching scenes out to 20, 30 minutes. He's really stretching kind of, it's very slow cinema kind of approach to it, where maybe a lot of something like Simon Long would hold a shot where there's not a lot of I would say talking or dialogue at all, or the camera wouldn't move that much for a scene, and he might stretch it out for 15, 20 minutes. But Cassavetes will still do the same kind of thing where they stretch a scene out for that long. But he's moving the camera, he's having people talk, but it still has the same effect in my opinion. And I think really he gets the most abrasive here in Husbands. Kind of really just fuck the system, I'm gonna do what I want here. And I think that's kind of what makes Husbands unique for me specifically. But I'm honestly very curious what y'all's thoughts on it are. I'll start with you, Blake, because you haven't seen it before.
No,
right?
No, and I honestly loved Husbands. So,
okay.
It's just guys being dudes. It really is, honestly.
It is, yeah.
It's a very depressing story, but it's incredible how funny it is also.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it has to do with how Cassavetes, he more or less he isn't sitting back and sneering at him or being getting much high. He's very much taking you with him, so that you kind of no matter how selfish or how despicable they get, you kind of understand still. You still kind of understand why, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, they're in rough straits. Something major just happened in their lives. Losing a friend at that age, something major. But it, like I said, it can get depressing, but it is just really funny. That's the main thing that I took away from it. I was wondering when we were going to get to Cassavetes actually being in his own movies, and we finally did. And I'm very happy it happened because he's amazing in this movie specifically.
So
but all three of them, they have amazing chemistry.
It's an acting masterclass.
It really
for all three of them, really.
Is he in a lot of the later ones too?
He's in a few. He's not in all of them. He's gonna be in.
He's barely in Minnie and Moskowitz for a few scenes.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. He's very prominent in Love Streams and Opening Night, which we're going to review both those movies. And we're also going to do Mikey and Nicky, which he didn't direct, but he acted in with Peter Falk. But, yeah, so glad you really loved it, though.
Yeah.
Danny, what you've seen it before.
Yeah, so I'm kind of mixed on this movie. There are parts I really love. So, I read this kind of interview he did with AFI with Peter Falk in the 70s.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things I wanted to mention because if you've listened to this podcast, that you'll understand why I'm pointing these out. So the first thing they asked him, apparently he didn't give us much direction in this movie. So because they asked him, do you like working as a director who didn't say anything? And he said, I hate it, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But then he said, and he kept going a little bit, he said, I felt that I couldn't get anything by using direction to make the scene better. Telling Peter to all of a sudden behave in a certain way, creating a situation as you usually do in a film. You create a situation. And then he said, the lack of action was what the picture was about, you see. So if I stimulated action by directing, it would be bad, wrong. I love that. The lack of action. Because that's kind of what you were saying about stretching out these scenes, kind of. Because I think what he's trying to go for is and he even says this a little later, something similar is he doesn't want it to be about like basically dramatic action.
Yeah.
He wants it more be like these are what these people are.
Yeah.
You know, as much as like honest as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's like I guess the one thing that bothers me about it is like it has this whole like the whole dramatic tension is like how they beat their wives and cheat on them and stuff. I just hate that in movies.
Okay.
Like it's like so annoying. Like we'll get to some of it later because obviously especially with the Ben Gazzara scene, like
I mean, yeah,
it works, but at the same time, it doesn't work for me. So.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'm consistent about this complaint. And, like in a lot of movies do this, especially when directors are trying to tell their personal lives, you know. Yeah. But it's like that's the only thing they like can relate to is like cheating on their wives. It'd be like an athlete doing that. You're like, but if an athlete had a movie like this, you'd be like, we don't feel bad for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like if the director is like, oh, they're so like poetic and stuff. And
okay, that's a funny. But you'll have to explain that more like when we get to it though. Like, but
yeah. Because but other than that, like it just has some of that vibe to it, which I don't like. But the form, I really like. You know, I like the idea he's going for. Yeah. You know, like try to present because he says, let me read it. Quote: "If the men are not exciting." Okay, no, I have to read the whole thing because it's so great. Even though it's a little longer. Because he's talking about how he gets bored from like normal movies. So he says, I get bored seeing two people that are supposed to be in love who kiss, screw, or whatever they do. I get bored by that because they're only supposed to do those things. I don't really believe that they're doing that, and I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less if people like people, you know, or identify with heroes. I love that. At certain times in your life, you get bored with yourself. If the men are not exciting, there's nothing for people to identify with, because we all want to be excited. I think the picture is about people just being what they are, and that's good enough. And if that's not good enough, then maybe as a movie it'll fail.
I see, damn.
But that's like great, like, cause he's not even wanting you to have like a great experience with the movie. Yeah. You know, he's almost like asking you to get more out of the movie than just being entertained by it. You know?
Oh yeah, which is definitely tying into what we started the first episode with like I hate entertainment, like. He hated that kind of concept in like American movies. But actually, I have a quote also. Okay. It's a pretty good quote by Cassavetes also about this movie. It's a bit long too, but these three men are 40-year-old kids. They're happy. They do whatever they want to. It's our night out, the way we'd like to take our night out. We'd like to take people on our trip with us, to break all the conventions that bug us, without being moralist about anything. The hope, of course, is that people stay crazy. It's really no fun to work with sane people who have a set way of doing things. That's also the reason I'm looking forward to playing with Peter Falk and Ben Gazzara. We don't care what the problems will be. As long as we stay crazy, if we all become nice people who are very polite, we never get along together. Because basically we're bums. I mean, I'm basically a bum. I know a lot of my enemies would agree with that too. But I don't think that's such a bad thing. I think it's more fun. I think I probably would have the philosophy of a poor man. You know, like maybe I'd steal the pennies off a dead man's eyes.
Damn.
Honestly, it's a great quote. Like, especially with like, kind of how like he isn't really like trying to like push anything like any like viewpoint. I guess with this movie, he really is like trying to capture like what's happening, like trying to capture life really.
Do you think he's trying to capture like the personalities of these three all three of them?
I think probably it's part of it. I mean, maybe. I mean,
I don't know about them. You know.
I guess like I mean like maybe it's tough to say. You have to kind of explain it.
Like, do you think this is how they were in real life? Like, because in some of these interviews and stuff, it sounds like he's trying to be like more honest. You know, he's trying to find because he says a lot how he was like going for a movie that's basically about feeling over like plot kind of thing. Okay. And that's why like the scenes are just kind of they're one after the other, but they don't have really any true connection. Yeah. Like I guess they are kind of real time though.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, honestly,
I do think it's one of the better portrayals of like grief. Also, like I said that in like what time is it? There? Like Sai and Cassavetes do have a lot in common.
Honestly, like the grief and how men don't want to deal with it. Basically,
yeah, literally,
and it's kind of very similar to like what he talked about in like Faces, basically.
Yeah,
where it's like.
Well,
we have something that we need to talk about, but we're just gonna ignore it. Like, like these people, you could say like they're like very mechanical, like as we talked about, Law and Faces, like are very much just trying to like hide it with like what this like basically kind of like outing they go on is like basically like them trying to like avoid their problems, basically.
I think your review for Faces was like their ability, the inability to communicate. Basically, like that's the whole movie.
Pretty. And, like, I said that for Husbands too.
Oh yeah. I think that was for Husbands. Like
basically, it's for both. I said for both. Yeah, I probably did. But yeah, for me, I love this movie. Like, Especially like the first time I watched this, I didn't love it, because I was just like so caught off guard. Because like, okay, the movie starts off like you're like okay, it's going along, and then like you get to the dinner scene and like you're like holy shit, this is like he's like literally not playing, like he's literally like stretching this out as much as possible, and it like.
And he lets you feel a lot of emotions during those long scenes.
They're not like
uncomfortable to funny back to like really, really uncomfortable.
It's like it's very much waves
to violent.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like,
that first dinner scene, I guess we're gonna get.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah,
that's where it's
insane scene. Like, but yeah, as I rewatched it, and, like have watched more and come more familiar with it, like I love this movie.
I will say,
it's like
this rewatch, and there's maybe even some specific shots that I can't tell if he actually took them, but he's definitely inspired by Fellini.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, especially with some of these dinner scenes.
Okay.
I even think in this interview that I'm talking about, he said something about Fellini as like one of the dream sequences, like Fellini, like when we were doing one of our Fellini scenes or something like that.
Oh damn. Okay. No, there's we're gonna get to next week.
I don't know what it was exactly when he mentioned it.
Or yeah, probably next week we'll talk about some stuff that he reminds me of Cassavetes or Fellini.
Okay.
And he definitely does toy with the dream sequence. We'll talk about Love Streams. He kind of gets into that a bit. And opening night kind of has some hallucination stuff. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into Husbands. So what's interesting is I'm going to bring up the title. It starts with the kind of the photo sequence, but I think even before that has the title card, which has a very interesting subtitle: a comedy about life, death, and freedom. So like he in a way is kind of declaring it as a comedy. First of all,
yeah,
he's very much like doesn't want to like inflate that with like he.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't think it's like a pure comedy or anything.
It's a black comedy.
Yeah, it's a very dark.
See, I don't
comedy.
know.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why I'm kind of hesitant all the way, because it might be a little too attached to the characters to be a comedy. You know,
I can maybe see
like
that.
the director is too involved, like literally with. That's why I was saying like how much is he? And that's not the. That's why I'm saying is it a comedy? Because like I don't know, like if it's purely making fun of the characters enough to be a comedy for me, but.
I mean,
there's some
I mean, maybe it's. I don't know. I don't know if necessarily comedy has to be that though. Do you think that like it has to be like?
No, it doesn't have to.
Okay.
That's why I don't know if this is a comedy though.
Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting to talk about because like it definitely does start out as one, but then it kind of like definitely gets more and more like. I guess you kind of see the fallout from everything, and basically that kind of isn't really.
Like you can definitely tell, like he's fighting with this whole like traditional Hollywood model of like these are the heroes they're supposed to do. Kind of
yeah, I mean
that's what Blake was saying. Like you think they're doing like you're cheering for them as like you would normal heroes, and all of a sudden they do like something weird.
Like this side of them isn't shown in like the typical like. But
at the same time, there's also like you can tell he doesn't want to leave it all the way either.
Okay, maybe I don't know. But we also get this kind of photo montage of like basically them with their like friend basically. Yeah. I love this. Like them at the pool party like flexing a bunch and everything like, but then like immediately juxtaposing it with the funeral is kind of insane. Like kind of go from this like happy kind of vibes to just like, which is honestly kind of like you could argue that's basically what their life has become, or really like, or it's like what their life was like when they found out their like Fred died basically. And like I love this funeral scene, like especially like how like kind of observant his camera is. Kind of like, especially like how good like he's like on close-ups, especially like during like the premium procession when like the guy's speaking and like basically he's just like kind of just like.
Dude, those shots remind me of Nashville.
Honestly,
when he's filming the crowd scene.
Okay. Honestly, yeah, I didn't even think.
When like certain people are walking through this, I don't remember who exactly because I didn't like Nashville.
Nashville's great.
Like filming the crowd scenes like that.
Okay, like crowd.
Then when certain people are walking through, I can't remember.
Yeah, honestly, good point. But I also love some of the dialogue here. Like, I suppose this is proper. All these big cars and chauffeurs, black shiny cars, seems dopey for a guy like that. You know. Well, I guess that's what they do. People get symbolic over death. They get very formal. It's really ridiculous because it's probably the most humiliating thing in the world. But I feel very relaxed. Like people die of tensions. That's all they die of, Gus. Don't believe truth. Don't believe truth. Just don't believe truth. Like kind of just like them like reckoning with it. I feel like this kind of is like, and it kind of
at least trying to through their words.
Yeah, I guess
because the rest of the movie you could say is like Blake would say it was like
at
least reckoning with it in other ways.
Yeah, and like basically like this kind of just setting up like what's about to happen. Like and it kind of gives us a way to empathize with them because like we kind of really understand why they're going like what brought them to these like selfish and like kind of like just like excursion they go on. But
was this where the you don't talk about insurance at a funeral occurs too?
oh yeah, that's in the car right afterwards.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. It's like I didn't like it. I didn't like what he said. Just say he was a funny man.
He was a funny man.
Yeah, like, and then the ending line of that scene is, "I'm gonna get very drunk." Cut to them getting drunk. Yes. Oh, it's so good. Like, man,
there's a little Ozu here, like a funeral,
Honestly.
and then some friends getting drunk.
Damn.
After.
I wonder what Cassavetes would think of Ozu.
Honestly,
Probably would hate him.
no, I think he would like him.
Would he like him?
No.
You think? Okay, I don't know.
I think he would like him.
Okay, maybe.
Because in that interview I've been mentioning, he does say something like how he wanted the basically the he says we didn't want to justify these guys' behaviors in terms of story, which is basically saying he wants them to, if you do justify their behaviors, to their actions.
Okay.
You know, which is a very Ozu thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
like Ozu was trying to avoid story too.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think he might like Ozu. But I don't know, that's a good question.
Yeah,
he
honestly,
probably saw him. Like,
I'm honestly so curious. Like,
like what were his favorite movies? I have no idea.
like Gertrude. He like loved Gertrude.
Oh, so like Dryer.
He loved Capra.
No,
Which
I've never seen any Capra.
Like, it's so fascinating because like Dryer and Capra are like so different, but like,
but they're like feeling movies.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense
sure.
though when you think about it, like, because he kind of is like he's like the formal abrasiveness of like and like the ideals of or not.
I mean, Dryer gets compared to Ozu sometimes.
Like
so.
Dryer, and then like he kind of has that like empathetic like kind of nature like Capra does, like, and kind of like I guess like the everyday man, like kind of portraying that. He took a lot from Capra, but it's interesting a lot, especially those two filmmakers.
I was curious about that.
But yeah, they this is like kind of the start of like of the journey they kind of go on, because they're like dancing and singing on the sidewalk, and then we get like the subway car scene where they're like kind of just fucking around, being like, well, like talking about how like John Cassavetes is talking about like oh, you know, I was gonna be a basketball player, I was too short, you know, like I would have been in the league, you know. Like,
See, a lot of this reminds me.
really
I think I told you this when I first watched Husbands the first time, of California Split.
Honestly, yeah, there's definitely like
Just like the kind of like montage we get of those two when they're
Yeah.
hanging out, especially when they're drunk on the sidewalk. It's like almost very like it's super similar to how dark it is too.
honestly,
Like,
honestly, and they go to a casino in this too,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and like kind of like. I think
Yeah.
the kind of the fallouts like are very similar in my opinion, like kind of similar feelings. Like,
do you know if Altman liked Cassavetes? I mean, I'm sure he. I don't know.
actually, I think I saw a quote. Altman didn't really like him.
Oh,
I
maybe he's lying.
I don't know. I think I might have saw him one like about like Altman's like I think it might have been a depressed Bergman tweet. Honestly.
Oh, okay, no, he's got some good ones.
It's good hater tweets, you know. But like I feel like I saw that one time, but I need to go back and check honestly. But
Dude, one of my favorite. This is kind of off topic, but one of my favorite hater tweets he tweeted was Imamura saying Kurosawa was a great director because he figured out how to use a terrible actor in Miss Puna. Oh my god! So you're like, oh yeah, wait, what?
That's hilarious. Okay, yes. But basically. Oh, there's a great quote too in this subway scene. You know, it's a terribly sad thing when a man reaches 27.
Yeah,
the years are going by, but then he realizes that he's never going to be a professional athlete anymore. And then you reach 30, and then you know it's over, and you come in to watch other athletes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then the other guy says like, and at 35 your legs go.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh man. But yeah, like
I mean, when they do play basketball,
I
love the fast walk that before that.
This
is why everybody just like guys being dudes, you know.
That was really funny.
Oh my god. It's so funny.
That one
was definitely.
Definitely. A lot of these like kind of like put in public scenes. It definitely feels like that.
Because those people around them are just like staring back and like just looking at him like all crazy. It's so fucking. Funny.
Honestly, kind of very similar like Walker. Like, are there people that?
No, the people in Walk inside.
They're like looking.
They
at
always
like
look
him.
at Lee Kong-sheng.
That's hilarious. But yeah, they play basketball, and I had to note in my my notes, John Cassavetes' form is trash. So is
this is terrible basketball.
But I was gonna say like maybe they would go for the 70s.
Yeah, I'd say. And then I remember like, oh yeah, this is the late 60s. Like,
I can see why he could have thought he could make the pros back then.
Yeah. But, oh my god, his form was
not
so
today's
bad.
league.
Yeah,
Not today's league.
No, this is terrible.
But honestly, this scene's great. Like, I mean, obviously, we all like basketball.
Yeah.
I kind of don't really like it that much anymore, honestly. But
wait, which has a better basketball scene? Elliot Gould and California Split, or this one?
They're different.
I think Gould is the best one. I think.
He's definitely the best basketball player.
And like him winning money too is just.
Just hustling some kids.
Yeah, that's hilarious. No, but I love how Cassavetes and Falk are like in like athletic clothes, and then like Ben Gazzara appears. He's like in like his like suit still from the funeral.
I just love how he's like, I fucking hate basketball. Or he just says like, I hate basketball.
No, it's like cuts to him tired. He goes, I hate basketball.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And there's basically they like go for a swim, I think, and then basically this is when they get to the dinner scene. Which this scene's like 25 minutes probably.
No, it's interesting how you're going to explain this scene. Like,
jeez, yeah, honestly, it
is just like you have to watch it.
Yeah. It's very much like.
This is what I was saying. It's kind of like a La Dolce Vita Dreamless, like some of those party scenes in those. Where it's just like
the decadence.
How do we even get to this scene? Like it starts off kind of normal.
Yeah.
But then you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, is this real? Almost?
Like the cadence really just like is like exactly. Really clear. Like that's what I love about La Dolce Vita is like even those that kind of thing that happens throughout the scene, like each party scene. Like it gets more and more decadent. But also if you look at La Dolce Vita in a whole, like there's like maybe 5 or 6 main party scenes. Each one gets more and more like depraved, basically, as it goes on.
You could say this has a similar structure. There's like 3 party scenes in this one.
Yeah, honestly, like the kind of the last one's like kind of like them trying to recreate recreate it like
in the hotel.
Yeah.
With the older lady or with the younger ones?
Was it with the?
Because
you're talking about the casino.
Oh, you're talking about the casino.
Well, because there's that one where they go back up to the hotel with those the 3 girls, and there's the one after that.
Yeah, I'm not the one after that was ours.
Oh, at the very end. Yeah. When Gazzara decides to stay, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get there. But either way, that's structure. Yeah.
But basically, they're very drunk in this scene.
Yes.
Which is understandable. And they're basically getting all these people to like start singing, like kind of have a singing competition of some point. And like basically like getting them to all like sing different songs they know. I mean, there's some honestly stuff that's like that kind of gets stuck in my head from the scene because like I'm like when it's apple blossom time in Normandy, I want to be in Normandy by that sweet old wishing well. Like,
no, sing it.
No, I don't want to sing it. Yeah, y'all don't want to hear me singing. No.
That was gonna be the podcast.
Sing it. Me trying to do covers of all these like
sing. I'm pretty sure they yell "sing" multiple times.
What does he yell?
No, because there's
more passion.
Yeah, like they want it's going to be more passion. And then when she like starts to sing with passion, she's like too much. And they're like
no,
really
I
like.
I posted on Twitter, but John Cassavetes just going like after she immediately starts singing after he's going like with feeling, and then like she starts singing and John Cassavetes is like I can't stand it. He's like I gotta kill myself.
Oh my god! Like
it's so good. It's so good, man.
But like it's like.
But do you think he's trying to comment on just like? Maybe like what a director asked for from an actor.
Honestly,
like,
that's kind of what it felt like. Yeah, honestly,
like
what it felt like, especially like, and they're like kissing her like and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they keep going back and forth.
Yeah, it's like insane. Like,
the range of emotions you go through this is
like,
insane. So
man, there's honestly like so much like. It's
like each person sings, and then they like pick on this one woman for some reason.
And then like they kind of gets in they get this other guy to sing. They're like, yeah, that's how you do it, you know, like. But like also Peter Falk is hilarious too. Like they're all, but like Peter Falk, especially when he's like taking off his shirt, he's like, I agree. Like bangs on the table.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Man, but
he's like undressing and shit.
Yeah, he like takes off his shirt. He's like, if you don't do it, I'm gonna take off my clothes. Like, but
it's like here they come. Now do better. Now do it better or something like that.
They go so insane. But then like. It's so interesting because then he immediately cuts them like puking their guts out.
Yeah,
like they have their fun in this scene and like do that, but then like basically like it's the downfall, like the comeback basically, like and like honestly this bathroom scene is like just as long, honestly. Like
no, I like it.
Yeah, like and it's very uncomfortable too, especially like the sound of them like puke, like of like them trying to puke, I guess, because they're like having trouble and like Ben Gazzara's like making them like feel bad not being able to vomit they
don't want him there.
Yeah, so that's actually I think one of the most interesting parts of the movie rewatching is they don't want Gazzara there.
Yeah, there's kind of a disconnect, I guess. Yeah, I mean
it starts with a disconnect. Basically.
Yeah,
no, they're in there alone. He comes in there.
Yeah. I was talking about even the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
they're talking behind him as he's walking with the older lady up ahead or something.
Yeah.
And
And he keeps looking back at them.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, because No, like I guess Shadows has a similar thing. I forgot to mention in the beginning where like there's this big thing that happened and it's not mentioned, but you can tell it's kind of controlling everything in some ways. And like in that one is like the kind of racism.
Yeah.
And this one is the death. Like we kind of see that we don't really see the death, but like that's like what's driving the whole movie in some ways.
Yeah.
But I was starting to think like, because this is a big like I kind of like a moment for me where it's like. They like don't want to vomit around him. Like Cassavetes trying to make a point about that. He even says something like they say something to him like he says something later like Gazar, you don't know how to let go or something. I forget what he says. You're too tight or something like that. But like for some reason, they don't feel as comfortable around him. At least in certain situations, because like if you notice, like their houses are right next to each other. But I don't think Gazara lives next to them.
Yeah, honestly,
like, stuff. And then like guess who's the one who decides to go to London at the end?
Yeah. Like I mean, I think it's like what I think honestly. I'm not really like totally sure, but like I think it's kind of similar. Like a lot of like friendships today, like a lot of, you see it a lot with like younger people. Like they'll be friends with people, but still like shit talking them all the time. Like they'll be like friends like. They'll like act like they're friends around each other, but they really don't like each other. Like, that's
but do you think that's going on here though?
Maybe
it seems
I don't
like
know.
They really like him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
that's why I'm like
it's very complex. Like,
or like that's why I'm saying this fourth. That's why I maybe didn't finish my point. Is this fourth guy might have been like kind of his close friend? You know? Maybe it was like two and two.
Friend groups kind of have like
exactly.
Like
that's what I'm not saying for sure what that is. It's not. Maybe it's like it's all interpretation.
Yeah, or maybe they feel like an obligation to like him. I don't know. Like
exactly.
That's interesting.
Like he's the missing one, and he feels like he's missing something even a little more or something.
Yeah,
because none of that is explained. That's why the real time nature makes it like
honestly,
where you can interpret all of this yourself.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
that's another Ozu thing. There's like no story outside of like what's going on right now.
Honestly,
Because the way he's acting makes it seem like that. Basically.
Yeah, honestly,
no, because it's a weird like because the first time I was like, oh okay, they're just vomiting without him, but then this time it's like it's way more noticeable how they're avoiding him.
Honestly, I already didn't think about it more. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. But
no, I do love like I think Cassavetes like I think it's after they shoved him out of the bathroom the first time and he's just sitting there, but he's basically just like. He's talking with Peter Falk, and he's like, "What are we supposed to be feeling?"
Yeah, yes.
Like that's like this entire movie basically. Yeah. It's like, what are we supposed to be feeling? Like,
there's an interesting line like that Ben Gazzara says to them, where it's like, because like Peter Falk's like wanting him like wanting to be alone, and like he's like wants to be, so he wants, as he's saying, like he wants like to be alone to vomit or like. Trying to just be alone in the bathroom for himself, and like Peter Falk's being Gazzara's like literally making him feel bad about it, like saying like why do I get the feeling you want to be alone? Like first there was 4 of us, now there are 3 of us, and you want to be alone.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it does seem like partly like it might be because he's like so willing to blow up too, and like he seems like the most judgmental out of all of them.
Yeah, honestly, maybe. I will say the bandana he's wearing in the scene is like fucking hilarious.
It's like the red one.
Yeah,
it like stands out.
Yeah,
the scene's really dark too.
Yeah,
honestly, it's like his red blue.
There's
like a really funny shot where he pops in with his sing in his mouth too.
Oh yeah. He looks goofy as hell. Like, there's some great fashion choices in both these movies. Gina Rowland's sunglasses in Minnie and Moskowitz are so iconic. But yeah. But I think the next kind of big scene is when Harry has that argument with his wife, basically, and like kind of has that fight with her. Or they all kind of go back. They all kind of go
outside a little bit, and like it's kind of like he's mad at his friend, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna call my wife.
Well, okay, yeah.
And it's like this first little moment where he doesn't know his his house phone number because he has to ask Peter Falk.
Yeah.
Which is like that's kind of just like a first sign right there.
Yeah.
Like, but then he calls and she doesn't answer, and he like fucking destroys the phone booth. And that's when he's like starts apologizing to his friends. It's kind of it's like a really sad scene, honestly.
I mean, yeah.
He's like, "Fuck you guys," and then his wife doesn't answer. And he's like, "Oh, I love you guys."
Well, because he walks outside, or he like walks outside and he says, "I know I'm a jerk. I know I'm like a big jerk or something."
He's like apologizing.
It's hard to like be around me or something like that. So.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And that's why it's like and then they go back to his wife and all this stuff happens.
Yeah, which you don't like, I guess. Yeah.
It's like
I think John Cassavetes. Well, okay, sorry, I'm probably gonna say something different than you.
No, you go first.
But like, I think this is like why they don't like him that much, basically.
Maybe
because like they're to me, it's like they think of him basically as they think of their wives almost. like he's making them do things they don't really want to do all the time.
Maybe.
Because if you remember, like he basically said we'll have enough time to shower or be clean shaven and shower for work or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's like the whole thing is like we should go to work after this funeral or whatever.
No, that's
and John Cassavetes is just like talking to Peter Falk, going like, if I want to be dirty, I'll be dirty. My wife knows this. Like
so he literally says, I'm not showering for him or her. You have to be free and individual.
Yes.
That's another, because I remember I mentioned last week with Faces, he said something similar.
Yeah,
taking no
yeah.
goddamn
Yeah,
back.
that's similar. Like, that's
Yeah.
another, like, ultimate theme, though. Because you mentioned that quote where they're all about 40-year-old kids or something.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of, like, one of the themes they kind of show that. Like,
Yeah.
example of, like, a guy thinking that's, like, freedom, basically, if not what he thinks about.
Oh, man.
But what I was gonna say is like, okay, so like in that AFI interview, he mentions I'll just read the quote, but he mentions why they added this wife scene.
Okay.
The scene with Ben evolved because we knew that people would say, "Gee, you never saw one wife." That just kept ringing in my mind.
That just kept ringing in my mind.
I didn't want people to approach me on the street and say, "Isn't it wonderful? You never saw a wife in that." That's kind of a nightmare. We decided to show the one wife. To do that, we had to come up with some kind of relationship that would be meaningful for the other two guys. We wrote a very quick scene. We got the actors in and got a stage. It was all very stagey. I knew that it would pay off once he choked the mother-in-law. And I was like, okay, that's like a Nolan-ass reason. Like, let me
That's
use
kind of
that
hilarious.
wife.
That's hilarious.
But that's exactly what I was saying, though. You know, like it kind of feels like that too.
I guess.
Even though there are some great shots in it, like there's a terrifying shot of like when he's
Yeah.
like yelling at his wife when she's on her
Yeah.
knees.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very terrifying. Yeah.
Like I was saying, I really appreciate how you can tell a lot of the stuff's affecting him by never showing it, like never showing the friend that just died.
Yeah.
Like you honestly would have feel more the wives would have felt a little more if you don't even have to like show it. Like if she was just never there and we just see her hiding.
We talked about
like,
with Psy, the presence of absence or something.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever you
the
said.
presence
Whatever,
of
yeah.
absence, yeah. Because it's actually really cool when he goes there and he's just talking to his mother-in-law, his mother-in-law, and then like he leaves, and then she like obviously comes back like done hiding from him, and then she's not expecting him to come back in. But that would have been good if like we just saw her like hiding. It is a good scene.
That's hilarious
yeah.
though. That's
That's so funny. That just kept ringing in my mind. I didn't want people to approach me on the street. Like, isn't it wonderful? You never saw a wife.
Oh my god. But I mean, I don't know. It definitely still works for me. I don't know.
No, there's some good acting. You know,
it kind of is like another thing. Like they're kind of like shelving away. Like especially with the fact they go to London right after this. Like it's just another thing. They're just kind of like.
But see, I prefer the scene where Cassavetes is like he's like because in one sense like. He's trying to show how they're like men you want to be, you know, they're kind of cool in a lot of ways. But at the same time, he's like having to call his wife and ask for his passports because he doesn't know where it is. And then he's like, Peter Fox doesn't even want to talk to his wife, so he's like, can you talk to Peter Fox's wife and get his passport too?
But I mean,
like that's like another kid's thing too.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, I mean, Peter Falk kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we kind of learn a lot about them too, like from the scene where they pick up the woman we're gonna talk about, like. Because Peter Falk is the one that kind of has really no courage.
Oh yeah, he's like really cringy.
Yeah. So I mean, so it kind of fits that he doesn't want to talk to his wife, honestly.
That's true.
But yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Those kind of like where they're just like you don't even see the wife really. This one just feels like I just hate to in like most movies where like they just try to add some drama to it by like hitting the wife or just any kind of domestic violence in general. It's like and it's obviously
you don't like domestic violence, bro.
That's a hot take.
I'm joking.
Like she has to pull out a knife, and then he's like hitting everyone and stuff.
Okay.
But you knew it'd all pay off whenever he choked the mother-in-law. So.
yeah. It's so funny. Okay, I honestly respect it more. Honestly, you know. No, I'm joking. Anyway, yeah, but I think we get like a Cassavetes like he's apparently he's a dentist. But it's like okay, he's like so obviously never done this before, so it's like like the way he's like.
This feels like a California split scene too.
Honestly, just like all of a sudden,
Elliot Gould would be in like his office. Or something.
Yeah,
because it's so funny. He's like in the middle of like checking her teeth, and Peter Bog's just talking to him
that's so funny.
About Ben Gazzara. He's like he's changed, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. But I think isn't the next scene where they basically go to London? Basically, like Harry kind of like is the one who like. Kind of wants them to.
Basically, there's like something at work. He's like at work for a little bit, but then right after that,
they
decide to go to London.
But basically, they go into this like they basically check into like this expensive hotel and stuff, and like basically go to the casino, and then basically they all three tried to hit on these women, which I mentioned in the Shadows episode, like the scene where like Ben and his friends are like going up to those 3 girls and they like try to pick up spit game to them and it just like doesn't work at all. It's like very similar to this scene, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, this scene kind of expands on that, I guess, quite a bit.
Well, Gazzara, we kind of see like his charm.
I guess, yeah.
Because he actually does.
Yeah.
Like, his scene is pretty good, anyway.
But then, John kind of does. Like he's hilarious. Like
Oh yeah,
with this blonde.
Although he doesn't really finish well for him, I guess. But yeah, honestly, the main like memorable part of this scene specifically is the Peter Falk scenes.
Yeah,
like basically like it's like I haven't done this in a long time,
It's very cringy.
Cringy. But honestly, it's like honestly like Peter Falk's just so good at it.
Oh
though.
yeah.
Like, but that's just how good of an actor he is, and like I just love his voice too, like how he says certain things, like his cadence. I find very like very effective. But yeah, basically they all. I mean. It doesn't really go well, especially because like there's like the scenes where they're when they're actually alone with them that just like it's like so awkward, like especially when they're like going in to like kiss them and everything. Like Peter Falk goes in to kiss the Asian woman. It's like so weird, like so like just like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like he's like Cassavetes is very much like I love like he's very much keeping his camera like with them, like close to them at this moment. Like you're like you never get a chance to like step back really. I feel like with these scenes. Is there anything like you guys like?
Well, I wanted to point out because they kind of talked about it too. The second lady Peter Fox talks to with like she kind of has like a lot of makeup on.
The
old lady. Yeah, because apparently like I have to read like some of this. So because the guy asked her like what kind of direction did you give her? Because you can tell she kind of looks nervous a little bit or something.
Yeah.
And he says, sometimes it's utter and total cruelty to elicit something pretty out of somebody. You have to be cruel to somebody sometimes, but it's only cruel in some kind of social bullshit way. I mean, we're all there to get something good. And then the interviewer says the sequence is brutal in a way brutalizing of that woman. And he says, what I see in that scene is a brief moment of loneliness for a woman. I find it very beautiful. And then he kind of like goes on later to ask like how, don't you see how like a lot of the audience was probably laughing at her during the scene?
Yeah.
And he says, how do you know that? Let people laugh at what they want to laugh at. Why shouldn't they laugh? You made a judgment already. And he goes on, you can't tell me how I feel. You can't tell that. You see that woman, maybe you don't like her being made fun of by the audience that's sitting there, but it's a healthy thing. It's healthy to laugh at somebody. Do you know why people don't laugh at people? Because they're too high and mighty to laugh. Awesome. And then the last line, it's a little later on, but he says, when friends get together, they laugh at each other. When enemies get together, no chance, baby. No laughter.
No chance, baby.
Damn.
Because he does hang on her face too. It's like really. It's like I can't tell if he's trying. This is another like fleeting moment. I can't tell if he's trying to be creepy or just like just like a normal woman.
John's nowhere near as horny as Fellini.
That's true.
Yeah,
I can
like,
appreciate
it's
that.
yeah.
Or maybe not. It depends on which Fellini movie we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but definitely they're not even in the same league. Come on now. Which I'm not like criticizing.
Cassavetes pretty horny though. Like he's just more. He's a little more based in reality. Like,
I guess, yeah. Which I mean, that's not what I'm saying is not towards Fellini at all.
Like I mean, think about what Face is about. Like, it's like two horny men. I mean,
yeah, I guess sexually repressed,
yeah,
but I don't know. I don't see it as horny like his like I guess his filmmaking in general. But sometimes Fellini can get
he gets crazy.
Yeah, that's one way to say it. But I mean, yeah. But like basically, like the movie ends basically with them like Gus and Archie returning to New York. Basically, I mean, it kind of is like what we're talking about. Like the kind of end of it is like it kind of like makes sense with what we're saying about like the disconnect between the two. Like Gus and Archie return to New York, but Harry stays behind. And basically, like they're like kind of concerned about him, what they'll do without him, but they still go though. Like,
well, Gus isn't really concerned. It's more
okay, yeah, I guess Archie,
which I guess that's Archie.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. Peter Falk.
Yeah, Peter Falk.
Yeah, I literally my notes have them by the real name.
Yeah, that's honestly a good way. Yeah.
But Cassavetes, like he doesn't really. It doesn't seem like he cares as much. But
first of all, why do you think Gazzara stays?
Honestly, from our discussion about like about him kind of being more connected to the friend that died, honestly, maybe is for that reason. Honestly, maybe.
Because you can kind of say this is also where the movie starts in a way, like those two friends losing a friend. Their friendship dies with Gazzara, I guess.
Maybe. Huh. Yeah, I don't see it. Damn, honestly, it honestly is a film that's like it doesn't really spell anything out for you, really. Like
It doesn't, because all three of them are in the same situation if they didn't
Yeah.
go back. And it's like Peter Falk is the one that wants to go back.
he's kind of breaking the cycle, I guess, in a way.
Yeah,
like,
well, like in that last dinner scene, Peter Falk basically wants to go back immediately. George Kazar or whatever, his character obviously wants to stay, and then Cassavetes wants to leave, but then he's like almost getting convinced to stay by the pretty girls, essentially.
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, because they all like basically like they end up like he ends up like saying we all have like kids, we're all married, we all have homes with mortgages, like back in the States.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, it's
Okay, because we kind of skipped over it, but why does Peter Falk like when that girl starts kissing him with her tongue, he like freaks out? Because he says, "I'm an American from New York. Order a Coca-Cola and then give me a tongue." That's the part I don't get.
I mean, yeah, that's
Probably tradition. I don't understand. Like why he just freaks out over that.
You know, well, his character, it kind of makes sense with his character. Like he is a bit like, I don't know, more like
he's kind of like I'm from New York and stuff.
He's kind of more the goody two shoes, I guess, kind of guy in there. Like more the kind of like, I guess. I don't know if I would say vanilla, but maybe
I mean, he's the most scared.
Yeah, most like as you said, like he kind of lacks the courage that the other two have. So it kind of does make sense, I guess, for his character.
It's like I don't know if Peter Falk and John Cassavetes are jealous of George Costanza's character at the end, because he had the courage that they basically did.
Ben Gazzara.
I don't know why I said George Costanza.
I was like, who? What movie are you in right now?
I have no idea. No, because like you could say like he has the courage to stay over there and start and basically just throw away his old life after what happened.
Yeah.
Whereas they're coming back to the same life that had them wanting to go over there in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
That's so I don't know. It's like it's definitely an open-ended ending. I like it a lot.
This is maybe a little off topic, but you saying this about Peter Falk not having like courage, I guess, of all the characters. I posted this on Twitter because I told you how like apparently they filmed a lot of this like not exactly improv, but like kind of just like Cassavetes put it how like. They wanted to film a lot of it where they would just have a situation and they would film whatever happens, like, on the spot. You know, just kind of trusting the actors and stuff. And so the interview asked Peter Falk, would you do a film like Husbands again? And then he goes to say, we all have instincts about beginnings, middles, and ends. We know what a climax is and what a dramatic moment is. It's very hard to get rid of that thinking. It's very hard not to go with it, to be able to rely on something and trust on something that is smaller, subtler, and more genuine. It's also very hard to be tangled with it's also very hard also to be tangled with a preconceived idea, to just start a scene and see what will happen, what will come out of it without imposing on it some idea you have. That is hard to do, and I didn't do it. I did it sometimes. I think as the film went on, I did it more, but in the beginning, I was hanging on to an old way. I can't understand John. I don't understand it. But I think you can kind of see that tension a lot of the with the different. That's what I was saying with the different actors. Maybe you can see like. Because I know I haven't seen any of Peter Falk's like TV show. Was it Columbo or something?
Columbo, yeah.
Yeah, like
I haven't seen it.
Obviously, that's like a very probably like script heavy show,
yeah.
and then he knows what he's doing, and he's going in like that kind of comedy.
It's so interesting. Like I've watched quite a lot of interviews with him recently about John. Like he told a story basically like the first few weeks, like he was so like not like ready for what he was about to go. He's like he literally I think they were in a. He said it was like they were in a car one day, like driving to set or something or whatever. And he finally had enough. And he was like, I'm never working with John again. And then Ben Gazzara starts laughing. Basically, it's like,
he literally mentions like how it was much harder to work with Peter Falk than Gazzara, who kind of understood maybe a little more what he was trying to do.
But then basically by the end of it, Peter Falk already committed. Like, yeah, I'll do another movie with you, and that became A Woman Under the Influence, which we'll talk about next week.
Nice, I'm excited to see that.
But yeah, I guess. Is there anything else you all have to say about?
I love the gambling scenes.
Honestly, yeah. I'm a good any like casino scenes. I'm on game for.
I wish there was a little more just like playing around with the friends because there's like that's why maybe it's like holding me back a little bit. Like I like California Splits a little more, kind of just like it's less dramatic, I guess.
I guess.
This one has like a lot of serious moments in it too.
To me, like I don't know, like for me, like I guess it's interesting, like. Cassavetes like dramatic moments to me like feel a lot more like sincere. Than, like,
that's true. I agree.
Like they feel like they don't feel like generally dramatic, which I don't really have. I'm certainly not as like. I don't certainly have much of a problem as a lot of like Hollywood dramaticism as like you do. I'm sure I'm more fine with it than you. Like I have more of a tolerance, but like Cassavetes even then it doesn't even really feel that way for me. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, that's Husbands. Love that movie. I guess we can go ahead and get into Minnie and Moskowitz, which I'm very interested to see y'all think about this movie because like I love this movie. It's definitely one that you're kind of not expecting because I don't know if y'all like. It's if we're talking about like Husbands being like one of his like least accessible movies. Minnie and Moskowitz might be his like most like kind of like easy to get into movies. I would say maybe. I mean, it still has like the Cassavetes like of course like style and like feel to it, but like in a way, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but this is kind of like a screwball comedy in a way, like the kind of sequence of events like the. And I think the screwball comedy aspect, or basically Cassavetes' take on it. I don't think it's like he's not literally just doing a Hollywood screwball comedy. He's very much taking from it. I feel like with this film, but I think it really does fit kind of the romance in this movie. Which, I mean, for me, like what I think like kind of his main point with Minnie and Moskowitz, which I have a quote about him about the movie, which I'm about to read. But like, if I had to like boil this movie down, is like basically like love can be found in like between two different people, like. Love is like, I think like if you think about like Hollywood movies, like a lot of times like the love is between like the two like like hot ass fucking people like like it always like kind of makes too much sense. But this one is like it's like love usually doesn't make that much sense. I guess I would kind of classify what this movie is really like trying to say. But there's also I have a good quote from Cassavetes about this. He said, "Minnie and Moskowitz was written for the screen. The first draft took approximately 2.5 weeks to put down on paper. It was written for some friends to perform. The basic story came out of certain remembrances of loneliness, the need for family and love, friendship, and understanding between certain people that you like and love. The screenplay calls all these problems lies, makes the past and the present now. It evades the insanity that life subjects us all to, places two people in a position to need each other, and in my mind, like life, gives them another chance." So, like, honestly, it is very much, like, I would say it's one of his more optimistic films, like, specifically, like, the ending, like, because, like, yes, there are, like, turmoils in, like, I guess, like, the romance in this movie. But, like, to me, it's, like, it's not, like, it's more Cassavetes saying, like, love isn't just super straightforward. It's, like, there's, like, very much, like, different, like, hardships and, like, I guess, like, just challenges that comes with, like, love. And honestly, it is very much, like, it's another one of his, like, kind of, like, I guess, like, deconstructions of, like, Hollywood, like, romances, I would say. But anyway, I guess I'm interested to see what you all think about this movie. But yeah, I guess Blake.
No, yeah, so I didn't love it honestly, but I still don't really know why. I don't know. Like you saying it's a screwball comedy, definitely. I do agree with that because like I mean I guess all a screwball comedy really is just like it's satirizing traditional love stories most of the time, and that is definitely what this is doing. It's definitely satirizing traditional love stories, but I don't know. It's just like. Even then, it feels like these people shouldn't be together at the end of it to me.
Okay, but I mean, I think
that's the point.
Yeah,
that's also the point. But I don't know.
And that's actually how it's kind of interesting. That's how I feel about it. Like, I think I like it more as, especially how you're talking about it. As I think if we go through it, it's almost like you want it to be more logical, but it's not.
Yeah. But love isn't logical.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's I think he captures that feeling well, in my opinion. But.
I will say the one we'll go through it. Like for the most part, I think it kind of makes sense that way. But there's like one scene where like she's like embarrassed by him because he's like obviously low class kind of.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it ever resolves that.
Okay. I mean,
it does kind of just leave it because like they basically literally decide to get married right after.
They get married right after.
But I mean, to me, like Cassavetes like never really wants to like conclude everything.
Not resolve it, but like I mean, like it still makes sense. Like I still like it. Well, I guess we'll talk. That's the one thing that sticks out. But I liked it for the most part. Seymour Cassell's great to watch.
He is great. That's what he is. It's just like you always hear stories about like your grandparents getting together, and that's basically what the story feels like. It's like this guy's just a stalker. He's literally the same as the people she's already been with. And she still ends up.
I know, okay, but I do like Moskowitz though. Like he does
kind of save her at the beginning too, which is also a Hollywood thing.
He saves her, but then he's the exact same person as the guy who saves her.
But I think like
he's a complicated guy.
He is a complicated guy.
No, but I think that's why you said he's kind of deconstructing the screwball comedies, or just like a Hollywood movie in general. It's like there would be a hero that saves a girl, but he immediately shows he's kind of like exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's also something that like classic Hollywood movies do too. Also, depending on the movie, but
even like and like it kind of is like how it fits like perfectly like a screwball comedy would with this film is like screwball comedies, a lot of the romances are a bunch of like mismatching like people, like people like trying to like figure out how to be together, but like certain circumstances, like certain difference between them, they kind of have to resolve that throughout a screwball comedy. And it's kind of very similar to this film. Like they are very different people, and they're kind of like in this like almost negotiation. I would say like.
I guess this is the question we need to answer, because you're right. Like a lot of screwballs, at least they'll say like, "Oh, this like woman is so ugly compared to this like," or "This guy is so ugly." And he's like six. It's like a fucking Cary Grant or something. Yeah. But this is the question you have to answer. Then is Seymour Cassel ugly?
He's got a very distinct face.
He's a very
because no one's gonna say that about Gina. What's her name?
Gina Rollins.
Gina Rollins.
Yeah. With his mustache, he's definitely not attractive.
and the long hair and stuff.
Whenever
he has a distinct
mustache, though, that's whenever I agree with Minnie. Whenever he cuts the mustache, I agree.
Honestly,
looks a lot better.
He stands out like in the early.
He's a very distinct look. It's kind of.
And it works with the smile, though.
Honestly,
it does.
His mustache does kind of go crazy. I have to admit.
Because that's really the answer. Like, okay, it doesn't make sense that way. Like,
okay. But yeah,
I guess Minnie attractive. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
bro, what? What are you talking about? Anyway, we can go ahead and get into it. Basically, this movie kind of introduced. I think it starts out with like introducing Seymour, which I don't think he's like. I don't think Cassavetes is saying like. I don't know if I agree with like. Oh, he's like just like an awful like he's like just the same as like that.
No, he's not like, just the same.
Because
he acts very.
He's someone who lets his kind of emotions like carry him. And
he's a bum, as his mother would say.
Yeah. Like, he's a very hot-headed guy, but I think in general he has good intentions. I don't think he's like. Like trying to be like.
That's what all stalkers say. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, it's interesting because like even like. This movie even like has specifically certain scenes of them watching like Hollywood films in the theater.
They do.
Both Humphrey Bogart films, which is
because she's saying in all those like she's basically looking for a Humphrey Bogart, and all Hollywood movies are lies because there's no such thing as a Humphrey Bogart.
Honestly, yeah,
I thought that's what because you said like the theme of the movie at the beginning. I was gonna save it before when we got there.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those like. Moments I like, but I also hate, like where it's like you let the actor cook way too much. She's like going on and on, like
that's
like give me the whole like theme of the movie and just like one scene. But it is kind of the theme of the movie though.
Yeah,
like, I guess we're almost there. I mean, we're kind of almost there, but but that's basically what she's saying is I think movies that are a conspiracy. I mean, they're actually a conspiracy because they set you up. They set you up from the time you're a little kid. They set you up to believe in everything. They set you up to believe in ideals and strength and good guys and romance and, of course, love.
Yeah.
But then you could say this movie also does that.
I mean, maybe like...
Do you think you come into this movie believing in love?
Believing in love? Like what do you mean? Like...
Because you said love is illogical, right? So you're saying this movie still makes sense. So that, in a way, you're kind of saying you believe in love.
Okay, no, what do you mean? Like,
I'm saying it's a good thing,
okay,
but like...
I said it was illogical at the end.
Yeah, that's what.
But I guess that's kind of the point she's making, though. Like movies do the same thing, Like love is not really real like that.
Yeah. I think like Cassavetes.
It's almost like Cassavetes trying to like he believes in that love, but he doesn't believe in like the Hollywood way of it.
I guess. Yeah, maybe.
It still feels a little maybe that way to me.
Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, like he's seeing the Maltese Falcon like basically at the beginning scene, and basically like has this talk with this guy Morgan. In the coffee shop, and like they're like because he kind of like this coffee is so interesting because it's like this guy's like I don't like Bogart, or like first of all I love this guy, this actor, because he's also in Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and
I've seen him before too. I can't remember where, but
you've seen Killing of a Chinese Bookie, right?
Yeah, I have, but I remember him in something like that. I actually remember. I don't even remember anything.
But basically like. I don't know. It's so interesting this scene because like they like I forgot exactly what they said, but like it kind of this scene kind of helps like establish like who Seymour is because he like Seymour like has like a range of emotions with this guy. Like, he gets mad at him at one point, but then like kind of like immediately after like is trying to like pay for like his meal and stuff, like trying to like give him money and stuff, like kind of just showing like Seymour's like a very like complicated guy. He goes through like a lot of like emotion. He's not a one-sided person at all. Like But we also see Seymour like immediately after like going to a bar and trying to pick up a girl. and like the girl's Irish, and he's like trying to speak in an Irish accent to try and like. It's like, can I buy you a drink? And he like started doing like an Irish. I can't do an Irish accent. Honestly.
This is where it's like he's being kind of creepy too. Like he drinks someone else's drink.
Oh,
Man.
Well, his pickup line is just, "Haven't I seen you before?"
He keeps saying that.
Don't you remember me?
That's so funny.
Oh, believe me, buddy. If I saw you, I remember
exactly. He's too distinct to be doing that.
Yeah. But hey, Seymour Cassell can pull it off. Also, I love his Seymour Cassell's voice.
Not in these things. He's not pulling it off.
Oh yeah,
You get rejected over and over.
All right. Well, you know what I mean. But like, his voice too. I didn't mention that. His voice is so distinct.
It is.
Like, it really like makes me love him more as an actor. But basically, I love like he's like spitting game or whatever, trying to at least, and then you see this like circle of guys form around him, and you're like oh shit, and he even realizes like oh shit, I'm fine, and basically just gets thrown out and shit. Like,
gets beaten up, yeah.
She gets beaten up. He gets beaten up a few times.
He does. He's a very bad fighter.
yeah. He gets himself in these situations like, but like yeah, I find him so interesting because he just really is like. He kind of is like every like he's kind of like a whole range of a person honestly like. That's what he's like. He's not one dimensional. Basically, I keep saying that, but like it's honestly like what I think about with him. And then we get this scene like he's on like a plane or whatever, and this like awkward ass scene where like this like woman right next to him is like yelling at her daughter to like stop eating, like to start eating and shit.
Okay, you did skip an important scene though because it's kind of quick, where he goes to see his mom to get money from her. Because apparently that's his real mom.
Oh, Cassavetes, yes.
First of all, Scorsese stole that, obviously. From from Cassavetes. But also, she comes back later, and it's like an important character.
Okay, yeah. Wait, who did she come back?
Right after they decide to get married.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they both come to dinner scene. She's like kind of revealing, like, honestly, the truth of like their real situation, you know, like what the movie's been hiding.
It's one of the best parts of the movie.
That's what I'm saying, like, it's kind of important, because, like, she kind of knows who the real him is in a lot of ways. We're like, honestly, we just saw this guy be a loser for like the whole opening scenes. He goes to his mom's house to get money, and that's when he decides to go to California.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn.
And then she'll come back too, which is so funny.
Honestly, I forgot about that. But yeah. I think we get introduced to Gina Rowlands at like this next part. Basically, like watching guys. We kind of talked about it, like her talking to her friend, basically like explaining like. Kind of like basically her frustrations, I would say, and like it's interesting because Cassavetes plays her husband in this movie, which
plays her.
Or I guess not. Mistress. Forgot that. Yeah,
Mistress.
My bad. Yeah, fascinating because they're married in real life. Basically like she's kind of like like a second fiddle to this wife and. The relationship's it's a very rocky one. It's a very like hot and cold one, which we kind of see with like
beating her.
Another Cassavetes like just hitting a woman to make it dramatic.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's like trying to make it like dramatic. I don't think that's his goal to make it dramatic.
I mean, that's why.
I think he's more just kind of showing like this kind of like relationship is like a very hot and cold one. Right. Like because immediately after they go and like they basically like they like love on each other basically afterwards. Like
true.
I think it's showing like he is like Cassavetes' character in this is a lot like Seymour in terms of emotions. He is a lot like him. Okay. Like that's always why I think that's just how people because it's like this is like the type of person she's basically drawn to, but because he's lower class, she doesn't want to be with him essentially. But he's still got everything else that she's like usually drawn to essentially.
Yeah. And it's also
because there's a lot of uncomfortable scenes between Seymour and her later too. So.
But it's to me it's like they're like trying to get the pieces to fit, like in those scenes, but then like. And then kind of like at the end, do they get the fit? I guess it's up to you really to like kind of like decide. But like,
I mean, it's amazing because it's in Faces too, where like we get a scene where like we think the guy's with their wife, and then they go to their actual wife. Because I thought they were married too, like this was her husband or something. Then we see Cassavetes go home to his real wife. His wife is like really mad at him, like won't talk to him. Well, apparently she tried to kill herself.
We covered that in another scene. But basically, not a good situation there. But basically, Minnie kind of gets set up on this date with this guy, Zelmo. Which this guy is he's a
Zelmo.
He's a character. very much like this date scene is very awkward. He's like he's like ranting to her about everything. He's like you can bring this to my life, you know. And she just sitting there.
This is why I'm saying he's literally like Seymour though.
Okay, I don't know if it's specifically like what he's trying to say though. I don't know.
No,
I don't think it's that plain and simple. But like like basically she tries to. She's like, I have no interest in you because she gets set up on this blind date by her friend. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But basically, this is kind of like the initial meeting of her and Seymour, which like Seymour's working in the parking lot, basically like kind of saves Gina from this like basically gets her into his car and like basically like drives her to wherever she like her work basically. But what I love about like this scene is specifically like it's not like an immediate like attraction, like immediate like Hollywood moment where it's like. Which, I mean, I'm not saying this is bad, because, like, there's ways you can make this work, but, like, a lot of Hollywood films, like, it's, like, love at first sight, like, oh, you know, like...
It kind of is, though.
For Seymour.
No, for Seymour, but, like, for G, it's not, it's one-sided, I was saying. It's, like, more one-sided.
Okay. All right.
Which, I mean, like, Hollywood films kind of can do that, but, like, still, it's, like, obvious, like, it's, like, not really, like, it's very obvious, but, like, this is not, like, this is very much, like, she's not into it first.
You can at least, like, see her decision-making throughout the movie, maybe. Or,
yeah,
like,
maybe.
Her trying to decide throughout.
And like, and at the same time, it doesn't really even make sense as what you're saying. Like, it's not like a thorough line of like, oh, I'm gonna fall in love with this guy. Like, it's very much like as I was saying, like mismatched kind of like trying to fit the pieces together, which is very similar, like kind of what love really is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But basically, basically Seymour's like trying to talk, really trying to talk to her, and like she's kind of it's more of a one-sided conversation, I would say. This kind of whole scene in the truck is when basically then he drops her off basically, which this is the scene where she's at her work and basically John Cassavetes comes and like basically.
Honestly, a crazy scene. Like imagine for her at work and like,
that's right, like
his son comes up and
I brought my son here to make sure to note that I'm
still trying to apologize and
yeah.
stuff, and he's like talking about the good times they had.
Damn. And like immediately, it's kind of a screwball aspect of it. Like immediately after, like she had this whole shit with the blind date. It's like kind of insane. Like that's kind of what I'm saying with the screwballs. It's like
I do think because
moment.
You were saying like trying to put the pieces together thing. Like I think this is a big moment of that. It's like her losing Cassavetes. Like permanently, you know, because he's like, I have to make up with my wife and everything. Yeah, maybe that's another reason why she decides to choose Seymour or something.
Honestly, but even then, it's like not an immediate like it's like
it's not immediate.
Yeah, it's like it's still very much a process, I would say, which I really like. But yeah, I think Minnie slaps Cassavetes basically back. Kind of like returning the favor from when he slapped her in the previous scene, but.
This is where you can tell Cassavetes like he's using his like Hollywood villain chops for in these things.
Yeah,
he's got some like kind of like sliminess to him.
Yeah, honestly.
Him and Humphrey Bogart look a lot like. So.
I was definitely thinking about
really?
Do you actually think especially when in the opening
because
scene,
the
way he's framing him too, like he's like leaning against the side of the door and stuff.
Yeah. Well, because there's a cut I think to the Maltese Falcon, and I was like, oh, is that Cassavetes?
I'm not kidding. I literally thought that.
Damn, yeah. Honestly, I've never really even thought that.
But like, it makes this point that she always has in the movie of like, you're not the face in the mirror or something. I think she literally says that to Seymour later. Yeah. And she's also saying stuff about like how there's no such thing as like a Humphrey Bogart. Whenever like she basically lost her Humphrey Bogart in this movie. Yeah, that's how you can see like Cassavetes, but because like that's
what she thought was,
or that's the person I at least think she's talking about whenever she's saying like I already love someone.
Yeah. But even then, like it's still very much a thing where it's like she thinks it's a Humphrey Bogart kind of like romance, but really like isn't. Like it's like he's like she's obviously like his mistress or whatever. But honestly, I kind of see it now. Like when I'm thinking about like their faces are like very like rigid, and like have like a lot of like. Their faces are so like
their face structure is
very interesting. Like they have like a bunch of like interesting like crevices. Like for sure. I mean Humphrey Bogart's like one of my favorite like Hollywood actors for sure. I love Humphrey Bogart. I agree with Seymour. You know, I'm a big Humphrey Bogart guy.
The Tom Cruise of his generation.
The Tom Cruise
because of how short he was, hiding in how short he was.
Man, I don't. It's an interesting connection. I don't know if
that's always what I think about with Humphrey Bogart.
Really?
Like 5'6".
Tom Cruise? Okay. I guess no. We talk about Big Sleep on it. We did Big Sleep, and like there's a line at the beginning where it's like, she's like, you're not as tall as I thought you were, and as I thought you would be, and he's like, well, I tried to, or fuck. I said, damn. Humphrey Bogart's so much cooler saying that to me. Like, wouldn't y'all believe that? Like, nah.
Okay, but us saying this, I forgot to say this for husbands, but Cassavetes said Basically, why they used a low camera angle was I liked it low because we were dealing with 3 short guys. we had the camera low so we wouldn't look like total dwarves.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
That's so good.
Damn. But yeah.
Also another Ozu thing, low camera though.
Okay. That's interesting. That's so funny.
Cassavetes' reason's also good though.
Honestly.
Because Ozu's, do you remember why? I remember kind of, at least his reasoning. Was why he chose low camera?
I don't think I remember.
He said like one day he was like sitting on a rock or something, and he was like he saw like a beer bottle on a rock in front of him.
Oh my
and he's
god.
like, oh, this is the perfect position for the camera.
Only Ozu would be like, one day I'm sitting on a rock, you know? like okay.
No, and he said he saw a beer bottle on another rock. It's like, this is the perfect angle or something.
Honestly, damn, that's like the birth of the floating weed
no, exactly.
shot.
That's why, yeah.
That's like one of my favorite Ozu shots. But anyway, but basically, I think the next like scenes basically is like basically Seymour going back to Minnie's house, basically mad at her for basically like I think he got fired for like beating the guy.
He got fired, got punched in the nose, and I paid for dinner.
Yeah. Which I think I think that's actually later because he takes her out.
They go out.
Yeah.
Before the.
But yeah, basically, still he's like mad at her, but still is like, okay, I'm in love with you though.
Yeah.
Which honestly makes a lot of sense to me.
No, it's definitely that he's trying to show like dual emotions.
Yeah, love is a very like hot and cold thing, and and especially with Seymour, who's very much like a person who goes to each extreme. I feel like is like a big part of his character. It makes a lot of sense, and I can't remember if it's this scene or it might be another scene, but I have to mention it. Maybe the most romantic line of all time in this movie. I think about you so much I forget to go to the bathroom. Honestly, like
okay, that's pretty romantic.
Amazing line. I had to bring it. We had to say it. But yeah, there's some great dialogue here. Like you don't have to learn their language; you have to learn their emotions. Like, but like it still is kind of more one-sided, I would say.
Oh, it definitely is. She's like she puts her sunglasses on during the dinner scene, and he's basically like saying like you even wear your sunglasses.
Yeah,
and stuff like
basically
that.
like getting mad at her for like still not basically not returning his affections, I would say. Like,
yeah. Well, the sunglasses are obviously way high.
Yeah, very much. But I mean, like, and we see like basically Seymour like kind of his rebellion of this, like brings up a girl or whatever for the night or whatever.
There's one moment during their date that I forgot to mention is because I think he's just trying to show little moments of their personalities, kind of. Because Blake said something how like it might be true, like how she's maybe attracted to this type of guy. Because like there's like one good moment where they're like ordering ice cream and he's like keeps telling her like basically his exact order. If they get it wrong, he's gonna like he's gonna be mad and everything. And then when she orders, she's like just lets her choose whatever she wants to pick.
Yeah.
It's like almost like how they're exact opposites.
Honestly,
like little details like that.
Honestly, yeah, and that's like a thing. Like I think he's definitely gonna return to in Love. Definitely did return to in Love Strange. Like basically like someone basically the pairing of someone who like loves too much and person who like preserves too much love, and kind of what that brings. Even though Love Strange it's more like a brother and sister relationship rather than, but it's like it's a brother and sister relationship, but it's like Cassavetes and Roland's playing the brother and sister, so it's like is it a brother? Okay. It's not okay. It's not. It's very profound. We'll talk about it. We'll get to it. I love Love Strange. It's one of his best movies, but let me think. Like, I think.
But yeah, we're at the hooker.
He brings basically like a hooker back.
Yeah, like right after the romantic date. Kind of
yeah, Seymour, he's a romantic guy. You know. But yeah, basically, kind of as a reaction to this, like obviously he's someone who wants love a lot. I think he's someone he wants to love, but like
he's very lonely.
Yeah, very lonely guy. He's kind of desperate for it, which it makes sense with his character. It's not like I don't see it as a weird thing. It's just like a normal thing like people go through.
Yeah.
But I think is the next scene when they go to the ice to is the next scene when they go to the Western bar or whatever, or is it the
No, they go to the ice cream parlor.
Or ice cream, okay, ice cream parlor, and then it's basically this connection scenes of them on their date, basically.
Yeah. They're just getting to know each other because it is crazy because it's only like we find out it's only been 4 days like later on.
It feels like so long.
Honestly, like that's a very screwball thing about it. It's like very much like a short period of time. Yeah, I mean, is there anything like? I mean, I guess so in these scenes, like, I guess this is kind of like the first moment, like where they like
They're kind of
they show affection to each other, and like having their like dance in the parking lot, and like there's a great scene where like Seymour gets like really happy about it, and he goes to do a handstand. And,
well, this is like right. Yeah,
there's like a good conversation right before that where he's like basically saying how he's in love with her, and he says, "To me, you're always gonna be new." And then she says to him, "That's not the face I dreamed of, not the face I'm in love with."
Yeah.
Basically, like trying to reject it, you know.
Yeah.
But that's like right after, before they go and dance, like the Hollywood moment of them dancing outside the car.
Which honestly is a beautiful moment.
No, it is a
very
moment.
beautiful.
Because they never actually go inside.
Yeah.
At least we don't see them go inside.
Yeah.
She's too embarrassed to.
Oh,
at least that's
that's from the door. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is where I was like, it feels like a little. He's trying to add a little drama through, like maybe unnecessary, because he has this like we see this guy who like she knows from the museum or something, and she's embarrassed to meet, talk to.
Yeah, it's like he's like a wealthy guy.
Yeah,
she apologizes for his suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for his jacket.
And like wanted to say his name and everything, and then not only that, we have to watch Seymour get his ass beat like at her apartment too. Around her house.
I guess I can see why
by the same guy.
I mean, but I don't know. It's to me, it's like another thing of like the mismatching thing, though. It's like kind of
maybe
like,
it's just like a little bit too much, like making him a loser.
Okay, maybe. But even then, I still think Cassavetes still likes Seymour. I think.
But why though? Why does Gina Rowland still like this guy?
He's saying why
is she? Yeah, why do you think so? Because I guess a lot of it is he's like showing, especially towards the later half of the movie, we're getting like like he just gets his ass beat all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing more of his loser aspects.
Yeah.
Even though I guess the movie even starts like that.
Yeah.
But like, why do you think she chooses him then? I guess that's kind of the question.
I don't know if that's necessarily ever stated. I mean, I kind of see like Seymour's like he's like,
but it could be easy just like she likes to smile. You know?
It's never really spelled out. I don't think, and I think that he intentionally does that. Like, because I don't think, I don't think love is like, as we said, it's not like a thing where like.
It just gets kind of cringy to see where he's getting beat up, and he's like, he keeps getting up. Like, it is kind of screwball where he keeps getting up, but he's like, he says something like, "That's what happens when you love, baby," or something. I don't think he's a baby.
I love that.
I love whenever he punches her. It's so fucking funny. Just because like the other guy just ducks under, he just like
that's definitely a screwball thing.
Definitely. This is like a lot of like screwball comedies are like basically like two people that are sick of each other, like or like. Yeah, basically, like
to me, it just feels like it's played a little more dramatic, though. That's what I'm like. That's why I feel.
I guess maybe that's like the Cassavetes kind of like style melding with it. That might be why. But yeah.
Well, it's like whenever he cuts his mustache, that is whenever her perception of it kind of changes almost.
Well, because he cuts his mustache for her. I think.
Yeah, he does cut for her because he's about to cut his hair off too. Which that's another thing of like rebirth or whatever. Like you're born again if you cut your hair and stuff.
And that kind of reminded me of that quote I mentioned earlier, where she's like, "That's not the face I fell in love with." Yeah. So then he's like cutting all of his hair. And
But yeah, I think.
There's still like they go swimming.
Yeah.
Probably the song, because it's like the only song I found on YouTube where like they're singing "I Love You Truly."
Yeah.
Like, we're just getting a little bunch of moments. Like,
a lot of this movie is very, which I guess Screwball is kind of like in Screwball genre.
Once again, at the end when they reveal it's only been 4 days, it makes more sense. Like, okay, they're showing literally.
No, the dinner with their parents after they decide to get married is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That's basically where we are, because like
basically Seymour's mother's like roasting the shit out of her.
Roasting.
I like the phone call too, because like she calls her mom first.
Yeah.
And you can tell she's like the mom is more agreeable and stuff. The way she's
or just like kind of like more like overwhelmed, I would say, like by like basically this sudden romance.
But it's weird because like we see Seymour Cassell start his phone call, but we never see him actually talk to her. Yeah. And I was wondering why until actually we get like her reaction, you know, because like they don't want to ruin this kind of moment.
Yeah. But yeah, Cassavetes' mother is like kind of insane.
It's like roasting them. Like,
I just love how she calls it. She's literally like, "This man is a bum."
Yeah,
like, why do you want to marry a bum?
Because like I think the other mom says something like, "It's so wonderful," and then she's like, "What's so wonderful about it?"
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so funny. It's just like, this man, he's like, what, he works as a car as a car driver or whatever.
Yeah, car washer.
You have a very beautiful young daughter.
Honestly, it's kind of is a moment where you're like,
you want to marry this bum? She said.
It kind of like makes you reflect on it too. You're like, wait, hold on, how did we get here?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But even then, like, I still really like that. I like it's like
exactly.
Yeah,
No,
I
he's
love
like, he's
Miss
not
Patrick,
Albert
though.
Einstein. He's not.
Albert Einstein, he is not.
Oh my god. It's so funny.
But she's being honest. Like she
Yeah.
even asked, like, "What are you guys gonna eat? Like, sleep in, stuff like that."
And then the other mom's like, what are your plans?
Yeah,
What are your
yeah.
plans, Seymour? He's like, I'm thinking about working for a bigger company.
No,
oh
he's
my
like,
god.
and then he's like, okay.
Cars driver.
No, then he
cars
literally says
driver.
like, "I'm thinking about going to like a regular parking lot." Like,
regular
those are his
parking
big
lot.
plans instead of like a
Yeah,
restaurant.
because it's like,
Yeah.
restaurants can go under and everything.
Yeah,
You lose your
yeah.
job. A big company with a bigger parking lot.
Yeah,
would be really good.
and they're like, "Oh, like."
So funny.
But isn't Gina Rolla, isn't she always behind her sunglasses in the scene too?
Oh,
I think she probably is, yeah.
That's actually a good point. Like to notice when she's wearing sunglasses or not.
Yeah. Yeah. But
She does take them off. Like it feels like
She does take
intentionally,
them off,
in
or
certain
she takes them
scenes,
off and
puts
puts them on at certain moments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see.
Which
I have to
makes
pay
it-
attention more to that.
It makes it interesting, or
Yeah.
whenever I rewatch it, I'll make it interesting.
But those sunglasses are fire.
Oh, they are.
My god.
The pink sunglasses then too.
Oh, she rocks them.
Oh
But yeah, basically we get.
The eating. Apparently she said, because in my notes she says one of the insults she says is he eats sideways.
Oh my god.
Like, she like
Gross.
roasts the fuck out of him. It's
Yeah.
like only the way mom can roast you. If she
Yeah,
really
and,
wants.
and his reaction is so good. He's like, "Mom."
Yeah.
Damn. Honestly, I need to steal some of her insults.
No, honestly, you
like,
yeah, she gets a lot in there.
Damn. That's hilarious. But yeah, we get basically then after that. I think doesn't it like a.
But this is goes to the whole like logical thing where
Yeah.
like we just get this whole scene of just the mom being like, "You guys, this is all the logical reason why you should get married,"
and then
it
like
cuts to them.
immediately cut to them.
The
being
mom's
married.
walking
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the marriage.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like you can't stop this kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It's like and it's like this honestly this movie is very screwball too because like the minister like forgets his lines and shit.
Oh,
It's like trying to like fumble
yeah.
for the notes and everything. Like it's so funny. But yeah, it's very much like how a marriage in a screwball comedy would work. Like it very much is like that in my opinion. But then like basically we get this kind of like flash forward at the ending is like basically this kind of like flash forward to like this like really colorful like I guess like I don't know like
It's like
party
home video footage or something.
like a birthday party or something
Yeah.
like kind of implying they like
They
had
have
a
a
child
happy ending,
basically.
I guess.
But
multiple children.
yeah. But I mean, it's to me, I feel like this ending is optimistic in my opinion. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but
I mean, how could it not be? They have
Yeah.
kids and stuff. Like,
I-
because the whole movie's how we're saying is
Yeah.
like this shouldn't work out. So him
Yeah.
putting this last
and this
scene
and
there,
like
so-
if we're like looking at like the cold love thing, like with the cast,
it's like an epilogue almost.
Yeah, honestly, and like this whole film, I think is like very much like kind of like another like kind of like Cassavetes like exploring a different like kind of aspect of love, and I think this kind of like is like the I guess love can come between like any two people or just
I
like
think so,
yeah,
yeah,
love
like-
is like illogical basically.
Like, or he's like saying it doesn't have to make sense to make sense.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like,
mean, it does feel like
It can-
she's accepted, like him being like lower class in air
and
quotes.
just his
Because,
quirks in
like,
general, his personality.
Well,
in
because
general,
like the
yeah.
house they're at, it's definitely not a great house. Like
Yeah.
they're basically out in the country as well. It looks like,
But they're still like kind of having this like colorful ass
Yeah.
like they're very much like accepting it. Yeah, for sure, honestly. But yeah. Yeah, I guess that's Minnie and Moskowitz. Very, very interesting movie in Cassavetes' filmography.
It is.
But yeah, I mean,
I think I'll like it more on a rewatch, but
Actually,
it didn't connect with.
it's
me.
definitely one of his more. I think it's
So,
definitely one of his funniest ones for sure. I would say
It's definitely funny, yeah.
I think but yeah, next week though, we got two absolute bangers. Woman Under the Influence, kind of his most acclaimed. I would say like. Basically, like I feel like when you hear Cassavetes, you hear Woman Under the Influence like immediately. Basically,
Yeah.
it's like the
it's funny
film
because
he's
these
most-
were two, at least on Letterboxd, these are two of his least popular ones.
Yeah, Husbands and yeah, they are two of his lesser known. Yeah, Woman Under the Influence is definitely like I think he was nominated for some Oscars for. I think he was also nominated for Oscars in Faces, in which he didn't actually attend the ceremony. Love that from him.
Legend.
But yeah, and then the second film we're doing next week is The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, which is one of my favorite films of all time. Top 10 for sure.
Damn.
Absolutely love the movie. I think I watched it like 3 or 4 times last year. Like, and I've already seen it like once before that, so it's like I've seen it basically like 4 or
No, I
5
remember you
times.
saying that.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. We'll talk about it. I absolutely
No,
love the movie.
I watched that a long time ago, but I don't remember anything.
Okay,
from it,
okay.
so.
Like really nothing. You remember nothing?
Really, not really. Yeah.
Okay. Which interesting because like One of the Influence and Killing of a Chinese Bookie have Peter Falk and Ben Gazzara kind of starring in both of them, so we kind of get like a
Oh, okay.
like husbands, like, but they're coming back basically.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
they'll be
That's
back.
Good. They'll be good to see.
Two very interesting movies. A lot to talk about with that episode. But yeah, hope to see you guys next week. Hope to see you floating through the clouds.
In your early morning dream, life's but your pleasure stream, so go on, sing me your song, yes, and play it again, for me as a friend.